This is a big moment for you.
This is the closest I've been to it, but...
Since March 1st?
Healing and coming to grips with a true miracle. 26-year-old Sydney Thomas told me that just looking at the 2nd Street Bridge again is a major part of how she's moving forward.
Now I'm starting to, heal.
Because she knows why she is still here today.
Sometimes you pray, and I'm guilty of this. Sometimes I pray and I don't think God is listening. But he was that day.
Nearly 3 months after she and her semi dangled right off the side of that bridge, she will return to work for Cisco on June 1st.
Is that the first time you've seen it since the accident?
This close, yeah. I don't know. I just, it is kind of hard to look at, but I'm not there. I'm here.
It was Friday, March 1st at noon. She says she was behind schedule.
It happened, and it happened so fast.
To get to a delivery on time, she took her company's approved direct route in her semi, the 2nd Street Bridge.
A pickup truck in the 2 southbound lanes. He crossed over into the northbound lane, and then he hit me. And once he hit me, he took my suspension out, which meant that I can't, it didn't matter which way I turned the wheel. The truck was gonna go whatever direction it wanted to go in. I felt myself veering off to the left, and then I saw myself going over the railing, and I was like, well, this is it.
You knew you were going over the railing?
I did. Well, not immediately after the impact, but I say like 2 seconds later. I held on to the wheel, and once he hit, because I couldn't swerve into the other lane. That's what they tell you when you learn how to drive a truck. You just keep going straight. It don't matter, because if you go in to turn off, you could make it worse than if you just take it head on. And so I did that.
The next few moments would become the event viewed live by people around the world.
When I went through the railing, I was like, I was just thinking like, wow, this is crazy to die like this, and I really thought that I was about to die. And I was like, well, I can try to hurry up and take the seatbelt off and jump out of the truck if I have enough time to.
You were thinking this?
When I felt myself going over, I'm like, I'm gonna have to jump. I can't swim either. I didn't know how bad it was. I thought that the trailer was still on the bridge. I didn't know that it was like this.
And the clock started ticking. Would the semi hold?
When it caught the bridge, I froze. But I was thinking of an exit plan, if it was even possible. If it starts going, you're gonna have to move fast. You're gonna have to unbuckle that seatbelt and open that door and jump out, because if not, you're gonna drown. I would rather drown trying to swim than be submerged underneath the water and not be able to get out.
Now, for the first time, we're also learning that a man, another driver on the bridge, leaned over the side of it and started shouting down to Sydney, keeping her calm.
And I just looked up and I saw people coming towards, the railing, and they was, talking to me. And it was one man, he stayed with me the whole time and talked to me until the firefighters came.
But inside the truck cab, all alone, it was a much different story.
It's like sitting like this, but the river is right in front of you. And that's what I saw. Yeah.
She told me her military training kicked in, and that reassuring voice from above on the bridge continued.
I have to be still, because if I move an inch, the truck might shift and fall over. I started praying, and I kept asking the person I was talking to, how long is it gonna be? Are they on the way? And he kept saying, they on the way, they coming.
When you say you were still and frozen, what do you mean by that?
I had my hand on the steering wheel, gripped on it, and I just was trying to, I had my foot on the brake too. And I sat like that for a long time.
40 minutes?
Yep. I was trying to just stay calm and just hope and pray that they would be able to get me out, because I didn't think they would be able to.
As the scene was broadcast worldwide, her co-workers started calling Sydney's cell phone, which had been thrown right to the floor.
Did they think you would answer?
I guess so. I guess if, they call it, I guess they thought that I was gonna be fidgeting around in the truck, and I'm like, no.
She waited for her rescuers.
I was like, I can't believe this, that I'm really hanging over the river. And I was in shock. I was like, this is crazy.
Suddenly, Louisville firefighter Bryce Carden appeared, suspended in the air next to her window.
You know, he was like, are you a praying woman? And I was like, yep. And we just started praying.
And their prayers together?
I got what I prayed for. Somebody came and got me out of the truck. We were praying, you know, just to get back on the ground and out of harm's way.
One scary moment that stunned both of them was when, after 40 minutes, she finally took her foot off the air brakes. They let out a loud bang.
He was trying to make sure I stayed calm and I didn't start doing anything that could compromise our safety. He was telling me, you know, it's only gonna be a little bit longer, you know.
And then the rescue. There was no open door.
He pulled me through the window. They lowered him down. He gave me the harness. I put the harness on, but I still had my seatbelt on. So he had to cut me out of my seatbelt.
Finally, in the embrace of Bryce, the scene we all watched so closely, the slow rise back to the 2nd Street Bridge.
I knew I wasn't gonna fall out, but it was just terrifying to be that high up in the air and look down and all you see is the Ohio River. It was hard. So I tried to keep my head up and not look down.
And then the moment.
I just kept crying out to God, you know, please, Lord, just give me another chance.
The moment her feet touched that bridge.
One of the first things I said to them when I got on the bridge was, did anybody die? Even me knowing that this wasn't my fault, I still don't want that on my mind that I was involved in an accident where somebody passed away.
She has since reunited to thank Bryce, who has said publicly many times Sydney's ability to keep it together helped him make a quick exit with her.
He is a really kind person, and I'm very and brave. I wouldn't have been able to go rappel down off of a bridge I wouldn't be able to do that. I admire him a lot, and, you know, I appreciate him. Him and his wife are very kind people.
Back to work June 1st, well, she'll ease into it, calling Cisco her extended family.
What do you think about driving across bridges these days?
As long as it ain't that one, as long as I got enough lanes to move around in and I'm not limited to 2 very narrow lanes, you know, as long as I get across, I'm good.
Walking with her, overlooking the place where she stared down death, it's clear Sydney Thomas has no doubts about what made the miracle on the 2nd Street Bridge.
I have my moments, but God has me here for a reason, and I have to fulfill my purpose. I can't let something like that stop me from doing what I'm supposed to do for him, because he brought me out of it, you know? And he doesn't want me to just live in fear the rest of my life. And I know that.
We're here. You told me you actually can look at it.
Yeah.
Sydney Thomas and I walked along the Louisville waterfront. This is the first time since Friday, March 1st, that the 26-year-old Cisco employee has been this close to where she stared down death. The miracle on the 2nd Street Bridge.
I don't think I'm ever gonna drive on March 1st again if I can help it.
Even off that date?
Nope. Yeah, I gotta be off March 1st.
But her recovery from the traumatic crash that left her hanging right over the side of the bridge in her semi for 40 minutes is now well underway.
I try not to go back to that day too often in a negative way. You know, I try to look at it as I'm still here, you know, so I try to keep the bad part of it out of my mind.
Police say the crash was caused by 33-year-old Trevor Branham of Jeffersonville, driving his pickup truck recklessly, weaving in and out of traffic, crossing right into the northbound lane and slamming into her semi, sending Sydney through the railing where the semi miraculously held on.
When I felt myself going over, I was like, I couldn't try to stop it or nothing. It was just, and then I'm just veering off to the left. When I was looking down, I was praying, but I was also like, if this truck falls, I'm gonna have to jump out, because if not, the Ohio River is 128 feet deep. at like in Louisville. I looked it up. I was like, if I don't, I'm gonna be at the bottom of the river because that truck was full.
Now, for the first time, she talks about Branham, the man charged. Her comments may be surprising to you.
I'm gonna pray for him.
Are you going to forgive him?
I already have. I can't hold no hate in my heart towards. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and me holding a grudge or being angry for the rest of my life at him is not going to do nothing for me.
Sydney, that's remarkable. You almost went into the Ohio River and lost your life.
Mm-hmm.
Your truck lost power because you said when he hit you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can forgive him?
I have to. I have to.
But the charges are appropriate.
Yes.
Not long after the crash, attorneys asked her to view the Cisco dash camera video that recorded everything inside and outside of her truck, from the crash to going over the railing. It became nearly a setback for her and her recovery.
That was hard. It was hard. Not so much the impact, but the end, before it cut out when I was screaming. That was hard to watch.
While stranded in those harrowing minutes, she kept her son, 5-year-old Mason, in mind. He's nonverbal and the focus of her life.
So imagine if I wouldn't have recognized that when I did, and he wouldn't be getting the treatment that he's getting now. And I was just like, you know, it was really hard for me to think about, like, leaving him behind on earth.
And then her rock to recovery.
How did his strength get you through March 1st?
I've always been a daddy's girl.
Her dad, Mark, he's been a semi-driver for 18 years.
That was nothing but God displaying himself to me.
Mark was alerted to Sydney's crash after she had been rescued, but as a Southern Indiana resident, he had to cross the Kennedy Bridge to get to the Louisville hospital for Sydney. And that's when he saw it.
It didn't really settle in until I looked to my right and I seen that equipment hanging in the air. And I was like, wow.
She's forever thankful to Louisville firefighter Bryce Carden, who pulled her through the window of the cab to safety.
We just were praying to get back to safety, really. I was praying for, I got what I prayed for. Somebody came and got me out of the truck. And we were praying, you know, just to get back on the ground and out of harm's way.
She returns to work for Cisco on June 1st, but not immediately driving a semi.
It's a hard job. My coworkers are like family to me. And I'm very comfortable where I'm at. You know, I know how to do my job.
As we stood looking at the bridge she conquered, the miracle on the 2nd Street Bridge, there is that story of the ride she had to call for not long after the crash.
So moving forward, but no more 2nd Street Bridge.
Never, never. I got in the Uber one day and he was about to start going across the 2nd Street Bridge. I said, no, you can't do that.
Did you tell him why?
Yes.
What did he say?
He was like, that was you? And I'm like, yes. Can you please go across the toll bridge?